If you've ever found something on the ground and thought, lucky me. Listen to me now, because the night I picked up a small brass key outside a closed jewelry store, I didn't just make a bad decision. I accepted an invitation I never saw being handed to me, and the city quietly decided I was the next name it could afford to lose. It was past midnight, that dead hour when even traffic sounds distant and the streetlights feel like they reworking overtime to keep secrets visible, and I'd taken a long way home through a narrow lane behind the old shopping block. The kind of place with shuttered storefronts and dump concrete that always smells faintly of metal and rain. That's when I saw it, right near the curb, perfectly framed by a puddle, reflecting a yellow street lamp, one small brass key. Clean, not rusted, not dirty, like it had been placed there instead of dropped. And when I bent down and picked it up, it was warm. Not from the street, not from the air, but warm like it had been sitting inside someone's fist. And the warmth made my stomach tighten before my brain could even label it as fear. The head of the key had a single letter stamped into it, crisp as a brand. M. I stood there longer than any normal person would, turning it between my fingers, checking the street, checking the dark windows of the jewelry store, half expecting a man to sprint around the corner shouting that he'd dropped it, but nothing moved, and the silence felt staged, like the city itself was holding its breath to see what I'd do next. And then my rational brain offered me all the comforting lies it could. Maybe at Esashagi. Maybe someone will come looking tomorrow. Maybe I can leave it at the nearest station in the morning. So, instead of doing the smart thing and placing it back on the ground, I slid it into my pocket and walked away. And the moment it disappeared into my clothing, I felt something shift, like a camera had finally found focus. By the time I reached my apartment building, I had convinced myself it was nothing, but the hallway killed that confidence instantly. Because something was wrong in a way that was hard to explain and impossible to ignore. The air felt colder than it should have. The sound of my footsteps felt too loud, and my doormat, my cheap worn doormat with the faded pattern, looked new, identical but not the same, like someone had replaced it to reset a scene. And there was a thin scratch beside my door lock, a fresh silver mark where metal had kissed paint, which meant someone had tested my door recently and had either failed or decided to wait. I went inside without turning on the lights at first, using my phone screen like a weak flashlight, and that's when I saw the envelope on my coffee table placed perfectly in the center, as if it had been measured plain white. No stamp, no return address, just my name written in neat block letters, the kind of handwriting that Dosen T shake. Because the hand behind it, Dosen T, fear consequences. My mouth went dry as I opened it, and inside was a freshly printed photograph of my own hand holding the brass key outside the jewelry store. My fingers, my sleeve, my skin tone, the exact angle of my grip captured like a surveillance still. And in the corner of the photo was a timestamp from 30 minutes earlier, which made my stomach drop. Because it meant someone had followed me, watched me, documented me, and had gotten to my apartment before I did. Beneath the photo was a single sentence. Return what you took. My first instinct was to laugh the weak laugh people do when they're trying to pretend fear is ridiculous, but the laugh died in my throat. Because my phone rang right then. Unknown number, and the timing was too perfect to be coincidence. I answered with a shaking thumb and said nothing, and a voice come slow, almost bored, spoke. As if we met before. You have something that opens a door you were never meant to find. I tried to ask who he was, but my voice came out then, and he continued. If you want to keep breathing normally tonight, you'll bring the key to the old city clock tower. 12:10. Alone, I whispered. Why me? And the voice gave a quiet, humorless exhale. Because you picked it up, he said, as if that answered everything. And the call ended. I stood in my living room holding the photo, the note, and the sick knowledge that someone had been inside my home. And only then did I notice my window was slightly open, just a finger as widsend. I never left it open. The curtain moved, not wheat wind, but like someone had brushed past it. And in the corner of my eye, I thought I saw the shape of a shoulder retreat in the darkness. I didn't wait to confirm it. I backed out into the hallway and knocked on my neighbor's door. Mrs. Heenan, an older woman who always complained about noise and always had her chain lock on. But when I whispered her name, she didn't open. And from behind the door, she said, "Don't bring trouble here." Like she already knew what kind of trouble it was. "Call the police," I begged, and she paused, then said something that chilled me even more than the envelope. "Police, Dan T. Come for this." I asked what she meant, but her peephole went dark as she stepped away, and I understood I was alone in a building full of people who had learned not to get involved. Outside, the street looked normal, cars passing, a distant laugh. A stray cat slinking near a dumpster which made the threat feel unreal. Like I could just walk into the normal world and disappear into it. But the photo in my hand was proof that normal had already been edited out of my night. I thought about going to the police station anyway. But then I imagined walking in with a brass key and a note and being told to calm down, to file a report, to come back tomorrow. And tomorrow didn't feel guaranteed. So fear did what it always does. It negotiated for survival by making me cooperate. I left my apartment with the key in my pocket and my phone in my hand, and I walked toward the clock tower like I was walking into a story that had already been written. If this story has you hooked so far, hit like, subscribe, and comment KEY for part 2. Because what I found under that tower was far worse than the key itself. Part 2.